Hey friends, I'm John Laspina, the Carnivore Teacher, and this is an interview that was done from a gentleman from Wales. His name is Lee, and he has a YouTube channel, and it's called the Zito Run Podcast. I want to encourage you to go over and check that out and subscribe to his channel. We had a nice long discussion about mental health and so many other questions related to the carnivore diet. I thought it was a really great exchange. We communicated back and forth and shared ideas, and there's a lot of really good pieces of info here. I encourage you to listen to it. If you want to put your earbuds in, take a walk, a ride, work around the house, drive in the car, it's a great listen. So I hope you'll check it out. Again, Zito Run Podcast over there on YouTube. Go on over and check out his page. Here we go.
How are you?
Good. 8 o'clock there, huh?
8 o'clock, dark, cold, miserable.
3 o'clock here and warm and sunny here in South Florida.
You're in Florida, right? Yeah.
Yes, I am. What part of?
Whereabouts?
I'm in Boca Raton, which is near Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been to Florida a couple of times, only to the magical kingdom.
That's about 2 hours north of us. Where are you in the UK?
Oh, okay. I'm in Wales.
Oh, are you Welsh?
I am Welsh.
Okay.
We're very close to the border, so I live probably 40 minutes outside of Liverpool.
Okay.
So we've got a little bit of a Scouse accent, sort of North Wales mongrel Scouse accent.
And do you speak Welsh? That completely
A
different
little
language?
bit, a little bit.
Boy. I've heard that
Yeah.
language. It sounds very complicated.
It's
to learn.
it sounds. I think it's one of the closest languages to Latin that there can be.
Is
I
it?
think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess one of the reasons you sort of caught my attention is really because I think the carnivore diet is for me. I go to the gym a lot. I've suffered a lot with my mental health issues and things like that, and you sort of just caught my eye with the knowledge that you're handing out on YouTube and things like that. So, I thought it'd be very interesting to speak to you and sort of pluck your brains as to some of my own personal issues and how I feel as though the carnivore diet can help me. So I guess my first question to you is, what sort of sparked your interest in the carnivore? Was there some form of, personal medical issues or anything like that sort of sparked your interest?
Well, when I started this way of eating, it wasn't carnivore. It was keto,
Okay.
ketogenic. So about
Yeah.
six
Yeah.
years ago, I wanted to lose weight. I was,
Mm-hmm.
putting on the weight as I always did. Real easy to put on for me. And I was
Me
in
too.
my lower 50s, heading to my mid 50s, and in my 40s and 50s, man, the weight I gained very easily. And I tried a lot of different ways to lose weight, and they worked. But then whenever I stopped those diets, the weight came back on, and I always had more
Same.
weight. Yeah. So I never heard of keto. And I finally heard of this probably in 2019. I followed a gentleman on YouTube. His name was Thomas DeLauer. At the time, he was doing just keto, and he stood at a whiteboard and explained what it was, defined it. Never heard of it before. All my life,
Mhm.
that was not what I learned nutrition was. I thought nutrition was we have in the United States, the food pyramid or the My Plate.
Okay.
What to eat. So I didn't know what a macronutrient was or a micronutrient. So I
Yeah.
was learning like a child about
Mhm.
how to nourish my body from this guy who was very fit and muscular, standing at a whiteboard saying, these are foods that you eat and these are foods you stay away from. And I thought, what the heck do I have to lose? Let me try this. So I took out all the sugar. And because I'm a big sugar junkie, I eat a lot of candy and cake and pies. And then he said to take out the carbohydrates. So I took out all the bread, the rice, the corn, the potatoes, the beans. And then I went through my refrigerator and I looked at, ingredients on salad dressings and ketchup and everything, and anything that had high fructose corn syrup or starch, or seed oil like canola oil and soybean oil. I threw all that out.
Yeah.
And I just started eating meat, fish, eggs, and vegetables at the time, and a handful of berries. And I'm telling you, man, within a month and a half, I lost 35, 40 pounds like that. Fast.
Wow.
Fast. And I thought, what the heck? There's something to this. This is not like anything else I ever tried. So, I went down the rabbit hole, and one video led to another influencer on YouTube. I started following different doctors now and other nutritionists. And, my knowledge, I just couldn't take enough in fast enough. It was exploding, and I was applying things every day, and I fine-tuned what I was doing. So for one whole year, I ate that way. And I noticed mental health-wise, I started feeling amazing. I never got depressed or moody again that whole year. And I started just feeling alive and awake. And I realized a lot of other things were happening. It wasn't just the weight loss. Now, all this other stuff started happening to my body. My lower back pain that I suffered from for years disappeared. I had it since my 20s. I'm in my 50s. It disappeared. Like, what the heck's going on here? And, I had pretty bad skin and acne. The skin cleared up. A lot of these little things I didn't realize, it was more than weight loss, started happening. And then I was doing too many vegetables and too many salads, things that have oxalate in it. I don't know if you know what oxalates are, but they're these. And like in spinach. And so I got a kidney stone, but didn't know what it was. I had to go to the hospital. Very painful, very painful. Don't wish that on anybody. And then, of course, I started Googling calcium, oxalate. Where did they come from? What foods was I eating? And I was eating low carb and no seed oil, but I was eating a lot of oxalate vegetables, high oxalate vegetables. So I realized I gave it to myself. People were saying, oh, John, the ketogenic diet did that to you. See, keto's bad. You shouldn't do keto. It's going to give you kidney stones. And they were saying, I told you so. And I realized, it wasn't the ketogenic diet. It was the oxalates in the spinach and the cinnamon and the dark chocolate and everything. So I took all of those out, which narrowed my vegetable intake even more. So I almost didn't have any vegetables. I had avocado. I drank coffee. I may have had broccoli. And I did that for 3 years. We call that ketovore. And I got a little leaner. I felt even better. We're going to talk about mental health here. Skyrocketed mental health. I mean, just amazing alertness and happiness, like joy that I don't know where I was all my life. I just felt really good for the first time in my life. And then after 3 years, I was watching carnivore influencers. I'm getting to the answer to the question that you asked. And I thought, I'm so close to just taking out the last little bit. So I took out coffee. It took me about a month to get off of coffee, but I did it real slowly just to see if I'd feel better. And if I didn't, I'd put it back on. I stopped the broccoli, the asparagus, the avocado, the little tiny bit that I was still eating. Technically, I'm carnivore. What am I eating? I'm eating beef, lamb. I love lamb. Oh, it's delicious. A little bit of pork, bacon, chicken, a lot of pasture-raised eggs, and butter. Like using butter and beef tallow and stuff in my foods. And I'm like, damn, I'm a carnivore now. This just feels even better. I need less sleep. I'm not sleeping as long, and I guess my body doesn't need it. I don't know. So that's how I arrived to the carnivore diet. I didn't just jump into it like some people do. Like, I'm going to go carnivore tomorrow and take all the plants
Hmm.
and crap out, because I've heard that a lot of people who try it that way, their body goes through a major withdrawal because your body's in shock. So
So that
I didn't.
was so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that was. So I'll give you a little bit of my background
Okay.
when it comes to food and diets and things. So I played football, real football, not the American version.
Soccer. We call
I
it
played
soccer.
that for, yeah, it's football. um, yeah, so I played that for 20 odd years. So I've been around the gym and certain diets most of my life. Anyway, I'm 37 now. A couple of years ago, went through some depressive stages in my life and things like that, and put a lot of weight on. So I'm 6'6", and I work in stone. I think I went up to about 25 stone in weight. I'm not sure what that is in pounds. Probably well over 300 pounds,
Wow.
320, 330 pounds maybe. And then last year I was in the gym a lot, and I lost probably 70 pound in the space of, I want to say 12 weeks to 15 weeks maybe. But it was too fast. I did it too fast. It was something that I couldn't sustain for a long time. But the carnivore, I want to say it was the carnivore diet with a little bit of oats in the morning, so a little bit of carbohydrates involved in the diet. And it worked well for probably a couple of months. And then, like I said, similar to what you just said there, I couldn't sustain it. I suffer a lot with sort of swelling in my legs because of a lot of football injuries and bloating. I get a lot of bloating in my stomach when I don't eat well, or when I eat carbs, I get bloated, even if it's just a minuscule amount. I bloat a lot. My belly bloats up. What I found was when I'd even only on 3 or 4 days with the carnivore diet. So when I say carnivore diet, I eat a lot of ground beef, mince, like we call it mincemeat.
Right.
So ground beef with a little bit of paprika, some cheese, and some spinach leaves. That for me is my favorite meal. I love that food. I'd do that for 3 or 4 days, and I'd find that the bloating would go away, the pain in my legs would stop, but I just couldn't sustain it. So towards the back end of last year, I started putting some weight back on, wasn't as active, and then sort of carried that into this year. And what I found is I've put the majority of the weight back on now. My mental state's probably been better than what it has in five years, but because of my inability to sustain what I was doing last year, it sort of just fell to the wayside. And then, now I do it in stages where I'll do a couple of weeks and then I'll stop, and then I'll get big sugar cravings or carbohydrate cravings. And, my girlfriend upstairs will tell you, I'll eat really well for 2 days, and then I'll destroy, you call it potato chips, I'll destroy a bag of potato chips because my carb cravings are, uncontrollable. And then I'll eat sweets or cake or pizzas and stuff, and I suppose it brings me on to my next question is, how do you keep something that I believe is good for me? I believe the carnivore diet is the right thing for me. How do I sustain it? What are the keys to the sustainability of the diet and the benefits versus, high carbs, high sugar, so yeah.
The sustainability is different for each person, I think. Based on your
Okay.
personality is different than my personality. There's two kinds of people. There's an abstainer and there's a moderator. And some people say they can moderate and have some carbs, and then they don't need them again for a while. And when they feel like it, they can have it and stop, and they don't have cravings. Most people are like I am, and I have to abstain. I'm not a moderator. I have to abstain. If I have a little bit of something carby or sweet, I
Yeah,
get that craving. I want it again.
that's me.
It
That's
enters
me.
my brain. It's like I know it's there in that cabinet. I can, like, with a willpower, I can say I'm not going to do it. And like 3 hours pass, and I know it's there, and I end up going there.
Yeah,
Right.
that's me.
So
That's me.
out of sight, out of mind works. If you don't have it in the house, it's a lot easier to abstain. So that's one method, is just don't make it extremely difficult to indulge. So I don't know if your girlfriend eats carbs and you both live in the same house, that's going to be difficult, because if she wants it and you're trying to stay away from it, it's there. I'm real successful with not having it in the house at all. So there is none. There's no thought. I know it's not there. I'd have to get in the car and go to the store to get it, and that's too much work. And now the second thing is, I found that 100% abstinence is like really easy. The answer is always no. No and never. I'm just never going to touch it, ever. Not even on my birthday. I'm not going to make up a reason or a celebration or a purpose. It's just no. Okay, like I don't smoke cigarettes. The answer is always going to be no to cigarettes. I'm going to say no to sugar and carbohydrates and cereal and bread. And that works for me, for my brain, because it's real easy. If I let just 1% in, like if I go carnivore 99% and 1% of the time I let something in, I'm struggling. I'm fighting it. I can't get my brain to stop thinking about it because I let it in. So that's what works for me.
I think so. Again, for me, what I found was, so I'm one of these people. If I play golf, I've got to make sure I've got all the right golf clubs, all the best golf clubs. If I go to the gym, I've got to make sure I've got my creatines, all the protein powders, all the pre-workout powders, everything. I'm probably, over excessive, if you like. But then what I find is I buy that much of something and I indulge in it too much.
Too much.
That it takes over and it overpowers me to the point where I don't use anything. So what I found, or what I am finding, is to keep things simple. So something as simple as the other day, we went shopping for food, and the freezer was full of food. And because it was that full, I don't go in there. I'll just eat fresh meats. So what I've done is I've just made a drawer for myself and to put the fish that I eat, because I eat meat and fish. They're my two favorite foods.
Good.
So for me, the simplicity is key. Like you say in there, if it's not in the house, I won't eat it. So that's something to take away for me, because we got the children here and stuff. It's easy with this crisps and sweets, or when the kids come, or when my son or daughter comes to stay with us. It's easy because pizza's my favorite food in the world. So it's my excuse to say to my girlfriend and the kids, let's get a pizza, and I'll eat the whole thing on my own, no problem. But yeah, that's definitely something to take away from me, is only have the necessities, right? I guess is what you're saying. If you only need a certain type of food, just buy that food.
And something popped into my head when you were talking about the drawer. Okay, if you have a shelf, a drawer, another shelf, and everybody in the house knows that's just yours. That's just yours. You're compartmentalizing it so that if there has to be your kids, your girlfriend, your wife, if there's other food, at least in your brain, it's compartmentalized to that. Like that's not mine. I don't touch. Almost like you're staying in a guest house, and you don't touch somebody else's food. That can work.
Yeah, and that's where I've gone to this week. So I'm going to trial that this week. I'm I would say over the last 5 or 6 days, I've probably been 60 to 70% just pure carnivore diet. So cheese, meat, and I like spinach leaves. I don't have a great deal of them, but I like the spinach with my meat and the fish. And I've just before we've sat down, I've had fish, cheese, and spinach. One of my biggest problems, even if I was to be 100% accurate with the carnivore diet, is mayonnaise. I absolutely love it. I'll have mayonnaise on everything. So
Yeah.
that's not so. If you have it, so I guess it's not a bad thing then, right? If you have it, is it good?
Well, I stopped buying the store-bought mayonnaise because if you look at the ingredients, the first ingredient is soybean oil or canola oil, and
Right.
I'd rather eat sugar than seed oils.
Oh,
I mean, the
shit. Okay.
seed oils are like machine lubricants. Our body can't recognize it. So that's what gave me my lower back pain. Inappropriate inflammation from all the processed seed oils in a lot of the foods I was eating. So your body knows what sugar is. Your body knows what carbs are, even though too many of them get stored as fat. Our body doesn't know what seed oils are. So it creates, swelling, inflammation, pain. So if you want to make your own amazing mayonnaise, you can go online, you can Google bacon fat mayonnaise. You could even do olive oil mayonnaise if you want to do
Okay.
butter mayonnaise. You get it to melt but not completely liquefy. And you put some egg yolks in there and you just take a blender and you just keep mixing it up and whisk it. And it tastes better than anything from the store. And it's not a vegetable seed oil. That stuff is
So I'd probably, for me personally, I'd go with the olive oil version because I actually, it might sound crazy, but I drink olive oil only small amounts every day, but I drink just a little sip of it because I've heard it's good for lowering blood pressure.
oh, is your blood
So I could
pressure high?
probably, you know, it has been over the, like I say, I'm a big boy, and I haven't. There's been periods of my life where I haven't lived the best lifestyle. A couple of years ago, I was addicted to drugs at one point. So, but yeah, I'm looking in all aspects and all avenues now to try and be healthier going
Good.
into the new year, especially.
Good for you.
Um, I know how to live healthy. I know how to live a healthy lifestyle because I've proved it to myself time and time again. I'd like to think I know quite a lot about the body and a lot about good foods and macronutrients. I know all about that, but my problem is my inability to sustain something like the carnivore diet because you touched on it before that a lot of people tend to crash after a couple of weeks. Joe Rogan, I think one of the first times I'd heard of the carnivore diet was with Jordan Peterson's daughter. She suffered a lot with early onset arthritis as a child.
Right.
You probably know this story already, but she turned to the carnivore diet, and a lot of her arthritis and pains in the bones and things like that disappeared. Um, so what I'm getting to is I heard Joe Rogan say that after 2 or 3 weeks, he's struggling with things like diarrhea, dizziness, things like that. And what I noticed as well is I had a lot of changes, stool changes, if you like, when my diet changes so drastically,
Right.
which is what I do. I make big, drastic changes to my diet, and then if I don't see the changes that I want, I sort of I disbelieve in it. Then I don't believe in that it does the right things. Whereas with the carnivore diet, I could feel it instantly after, even a couple of days. If I feel good, but then I get you know, my carb cravings, my sugar cravings, and if I'm being honest, a bit of laziness. I get a little bit lazy, a little bit complacent, and then before you know it, I've put on 7, 8 pounds easy. Like I say, I'm a big guy, so I carry the weight quite well. Um, but yeah, I've always said I'm one of these people. I can drive past McDonald's and put 5 or 6 pounds on just from driving past.
I hear you there. I used to do fast food before I
Yeah,
stopped all
yeah,
that. It's very it's all around us. It's in every country in the world, especially first world countries like ours, and
yeah,
it's to me it's a mental focus. When you start to see the food differently as nutrition instead of as entertainment or as
yeah.
it looks good, it tastes good, and I want it. You start seeing it. You look at it like, okay, this has protein and fatty acids, and I haven't eaten in 12 hours, and I'm really like literally. My stomach is telling me I'm hungry, and you eat it until it doesn't look and taste so good anymore. That's your body telling you you're not hungry anymore. And then because it had all that fat and protein, hopefully it's very fatty for you, then you don't want a snack. That fat and protein together, the way it comes in nature, or if you add more fat if it's lean, the signals go to your brain that you're satiated, and because there were no carbohydrates, you don't have this drop off. And there's no insulin drop off, which spur on the cravings, because just a little bit of insulin comes out because of the protein to get that into the cells. And that's it, not this gigantic spike of insulin because of the carbs. And then when you start seeing it that way, when you see all the standard world food out there, you start looking at that stuff differently. Like you look at that oatmeal and you'll look at that cake and whatever it was that you used to eat, you'll start mentally seeing it in a different way, and you won't want it because you educated yourself as to what it really is. You know, in America, we have so much crap with colors, additives, preservatives, flavorings. I mean, it's the boxes, the advertisements. It's you read the ingredients, and it's crap. It's junk.
Yeah.
Like, where's the nutrition? Because now I know what nutrition is. I'm not going to eat those Pop-Tarts. I don't know if you guys had those in UK, but
jam tarts, we call them.
I used to eat so many of those cinnamon. What was it? Brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts. I put them in the toaster. I would eat 4 of them, and they gave me a dopamine hit, like a drug rush, because I'm a sugar junkie. So I
had something similar. I had something similar with chocolate waffles. You put them in the toaster, and honestly, it was just like you could eat 5 or 6 of them, and just man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of small questions that I want to ask you, and then I want to get into the sort of the science behind it, if you like, the science behind the carnivore and what it does, you know, and for my own intuition, as you like. So, what challenges might someone face when transitioning to the carnivore diet, and how would they overcome them?
I think challenges lie with the way you enter carnivore. If a person does it cold turkey, it's going to be very challenging because they're going to have bowel issues. They're going to have you're going to have withdrawal symptoms, electrolyte imbalances. Those will be the challenges that happen when you jump directly into it. And I advocate, and many other people advocate, easing into carnivore, very slowly taking out the plants and the carbs so that your body's not in shock. You know, in the same way that a meth addict or a person who's addicted to an opioid, you come off of it very slowly. You don't shock the body and go through terrible withdrawal symptoms, because sugar, you know, it is like a drug. We're so used to it, and we crave it when we don't have it. It's amazing when you do get off of it too. I taste sweetness in meat now. Actually, I could taste the glycogen in the meat. It's like, whoa, it took a while, but I'm starting to taste my food differently. My taste buds have changed since I eliminated sweet things from my palate. And so I'm enjoying my beef and my eggs and my fish better than I ever enjoyed them before. You know, before I had to have something sweet all the time. So I hope I answered your question there.
Yeah, so when you say sweet, honey's no good then in the carnivore diet, right?
Honey is glucose and fructose, with more fructose. A lot of people don't realize that the part that tastes sweet is the fructose molecule. So you pair that with glucose, you get table sugar, you get honey, maple syrup, high fructose corn syrup. It's all the same. It's glucose and fructose. Dairy sugar in milk and yogurt and some cheeses is glucose and galactose. There's no sweet taste to it. So when you eat a piece of bread that's just glucose, you don't taste sweet. You drink some milk, you're like, that's not sweet, because it doesn't have that fructose molecule, but you're still getting all the glucose, which is why a lot of people don't realize when they eat a piece of bread, eat some rice or a potato, they think they're not eating sugar. They're actually raising their glycemic index higher
Yeah.
than if they ate a candy bar, which is half fructose and half glucose. When you eat all that other stuff, it's all glucose in the form of starch. I didn't know this stuff.
Starch. Yeah.
Yeah. When I
Yeah. And
learned
is
it,
that
I'm like,
because of,
oh, yeah.
is that the starch is what raises insulin levels, right?
Because starch is a long string of glucose molecules, and the amylase enzyme in your mouth and in your stomach breaks that apart real fast. So as soon as you eat starch of any kind in any form, that's pure glucose. It just needs that enzyme to break the bonds to make it glucose, and that happens very rapidly. So people who wear a continuous glucose monitor on their arm, if you've ever heard of those CGMs, they do little
Yeah.
tests on themselves. They won't have any sugar at all, and they'll have some oatmeal, and then they'll watch it on their phone because it's connected, and they'll be like, whoa, I just jumped up to 180. You're supposed to be at below 100. Or they'll eat some rice and they'll watch it jump way up to 200. Right? But when you eat a piece of meat, it doesn't go up that much at all. A lot of people don't know that, that starch is sugar.
I didn't know that. I knew that it raised your insulin levels because of it being a carbohydrate as such. But yeah, I didn't know it was sugar. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it's glucose.
Is there any type of, when we touch on the mental health aspect of eating the carnivore way, do you know of any sort of mental health conditions that that it improves, or would you say that it's just your overall health improves, the way that you function on a daily basis, you feel more energetic, which in turn gives you a better form of mental health?
Both. It's both. When you are starting to nourish your body with the species-specific nutrients of protein, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals that come from animal products only, and you don't have plant toxins, you don't have lots of carbohydrates, you don't have vegetable seed oils, and your body doesn't have to fight all those negative things, your body can focus on working efficiently because it's getting everything it needs, then any damage that's inside the body starts to repair itself. Your body's an amazing self-healing machine. It really is. If you get out of your way and let your body heal, it will heal very beautifully from the inside out when you nourish the body, when you give it the right amino acids and fats. And the brain is a huge part of it. Of course, it runs the whole body, it controls everything. Our brain consumes so much energy because it has to run the whole body. And we're the most intelligent species we can think. And when you are giving yourself great foods, it makes you feel great too. You start to heal up here. Alzheimer's is now being labeled type 3 diabetes.
Type 3 diabetes, I watched that.
Do the same thing in type 2 diabetes, but it's happening inside the head. The sugar glycation is damaging the cells in the head long term, causing that. And it really is amazing. I brought a book here. If you've ever heard of it, Change Your Diet. Is that in mirror image? I'm not sure. Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind.
Yeah, I can see it.
By Dr. Georgia Ede. And
I'll write that down.
Yeah, do write it down. You can always go back to this part in the video.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could read parts of it to you. I earmarked a few parts. It will change. You change your diet. Eat the carnivore diet. Eat the way we're supposed to eat as a human being, human food, and your brain heals. I used to be depressed a lot. I used to have big mood swings, happy, low, depressed. Like
I do. That's what I get them.
So you understand what I'm talking about. You know what that is. That all disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay. I am level or up all the time now. And I always share this example with people. My mom and dad lived to 83 and 84 years old. My dad died first, and then my mother died less than a year later of complications with cancer. My dad had ALS, and but they were healthy most of their lives. And I went through these 2 deaths knowing the old me, I would have been a mess. I would have eaten everything in sight. I would have been depressed and moody. And I went through these terrible times in my life, and I looked back on it and thought, who is that person? How did I handle that? I handled everything like I was low because of the sadness, but I wasn't a deep dive depression. This diet has helped me get through that, along with so many other mental things. So I highly recommend it for emotional health. It's of all the things that this diet has done for me, that's the number one. That's why I was kind of glad you
Wow.
asked me to come onto the show here. Mental health is the number one improvement of say 30 things that it did for me. It's the most, I'm so grateful for that one the most, because I've never been happier. I've never felt better. And now that I don't want to go back. I'm not going to go back there. There's no frickin' way. Why would I eat something that's going to make me feel that way again? Right?
It makes sense what you've just said there. And I've never really thought about it that way, is that the brain controls the body, which I obviously knew that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if your body is healing, surely that means your brain is in a good position to allow the body to heal, right? I guess that's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can I read this little thing I saved for
Yeah,
you?
of course. Yeah.
It's something that I read it on a podcast that I wrote, or that I did. And it's just one little paragraph out of this book that just really stuck with me. And I want to read that to you here. It says, medications can and do change brain chemistry, and they have their place, but I'm convinced that the most powerful way to change brain chemistry is through food, because that's where brain chemicals come from in the first place. Neurotransmitters are made from food. The brain cells that pass them back and forth to communicate with each other are made from food, and even the salty soup that surrounds them is made from food. Optimal mental health requires that your whole brain be made of the right stuff. So if you have a mental or physical health problem of any kind, the first place to look is not your medicine cabinet, it's your pantry. This advice holds true whether you view mental health conditions as biologically driven or physiologically driven or psychologically driven, because as we'll see in later chapters, the way we eat has a profound impact on brain development, neurotransmitters, stress hormones, inflammation, antioxidant capacity, brain energy, and brain aging. There is only so much you can do to reduce your exposure to stress, and nothing you can do about your genes that you were born with from childhood. But you can change your diet, and changing your diet can change your mind. I mean, I must have read that 50 times when I got to that part in the book.
Yeah.
It just rang bells in my brain. It's a page turner, this book. You have a lot of aha moments, and it starts to make you think differently about food and how it's going to.
Well, just in the 5 minutes of speaking, like I say, I know about food that gets muscles big. I know how to do the fat loss. I know all that. But just in those 5 minutes of you talking, or the last 10 minutes of you talking, I've been picturing it in my mind. I've been looking at a bowl of oats in my mind differently. I've looked at vegetables differently. I've looked at steaks differently. You know, I've looked at them, as you'd say, like fuel rather than food. What you were saying just when you were reading that passage then from the book, and what you said before about lower back pains. So a lot of the time when people go through stints of depression, anxiety and things like that, we comfort eat, right? A lot of people comfort eat.
Self-soothe.
Yeah. So, and again, I've never looked at it this way before. We know when we're down in the dumps that we'll buy pizzas or McDonald's or a Subway or whatever that food may be, just to make you feel, you know, less sad, I guess. I've never, in the 37 years of my life, looked at food and thought that food will make me, in my head, feel better. I know it's good for the body and it makes the body better, but I've never actually looked at it and thought, if I don't eat this and I eat this, it will make me feel better. And that's what I've just taken away from that there now. I know I've always thought the gym is good for the mental health, which it is. It's really good. The food is a necessity to be able to perform in a gym, which makes you feel good. When clearly, from what you're saying, that's not the case. The food also makes your brain improve, which then in turn improves the body.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's
I believe
yeah.
it's 90% in the kitchen and 20%, or 90% in the kitchen, 10% in the gym. Some people use a different percentage, but you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about, you can work your ass off in the gym and have the
yeah.
worst diet in the world. You're not going anywhere. So you have to
I've been there.
really,
I've done that.
I have to.
But where I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say is with mine, even we use the same terminology. I think it's 90% in the kitchen,
Okay.
5% or sleeping or something, and 5% in the gym.
Right.
But even that point of view, I've always looked at it, the kitchen being the key to unlocking performance just in the gym.
Oh,
And this might be, I've never looked at the sort of neurological benefits of food. And yeah, it's straight. It's quite an easy thing to sort of contemplate, really, when you think about it. It's quite easy to think about. But for some reason, I've never done it.
well,
It's
we all get to different realizations at different times in our lives. When we were
yeah.
when we were teenagers, we were immature, and all we, just
Oh yeah.
want satisfaction, what makes me happy. And your body is very forgiving when you're a teenager. You could eat a lot of crap and do 4 sit-ups and it's gone. Right? As we age in our 30s, 40s, and 50s and beyond, your body's not as forgiving and healing. Your bandwidth is smaller. And we come to these realizations. I have to take care of myself a little better as we age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question, and this is probably the biggest debate that I ever hear when it comes to the carnivore diet: does it affect the cholesterol levels?
Cholesterol. All right. What is your current understanding of that before I talk about my
So
thoughts?
my current understanding is that red meat severely elevates cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, if you like, and just absolutely, yeah, just has a serious impact on cholesterol to a point where, it's fatal, if you like.
What have you been taught about cholesterol that is fatal or bad? Like if we have too much of the so-called bad cholesterol, why do they call that bad? What will that do to us?
So if again, am I right in saying there's two types of cholesterol? Like, is it LDL and HDL cholesterols?
Well,
I think, is that right?
two major ones. Yeah, there's other ones too. Yeah.
Okay. I guess from what I know, and again, I'm no professional, I've just got a basic knowledge, is that if your bad cholesterol gets too high, it has a serious impact on the body, to a point where you can potentially die from it. That's sort of the basic understanding, or the basic sort of title of any debate that I see is: if you eat too much red meat, it's bad for your cholesterol and you're going to potentially die. That's a lot of the debates that I see.
Yeah.
One side says that, and the other side says what I think you're about to say, which is you don't know what cholesterol is and what it does for the body.
I want to go at it from another angle. Let's talk sugar first. Okay, glucose.
Okay.
All right, when we're consuming the standard world diet, which is a lot of grains, legumes, pasta, sugar, we're intaking 200 and 300 total grams of external sugar. And what that does when we have too much is sugar sticky, and it grabs onto a protein and it damages the skeletal structure of that cell. That's called glycation. and that's happening
Yeah.
inside your arteries. So you have these cells that line the inside of your arteries. They're called endothelial cells, and they get damaged probably first, along with other parts of the body. So the body senses that damage and sends corrective measures to put a patch there. All right. Part of that repair involves cholesterol and calcium and so many other things. So that's part of the repair. So that's why cholesterol gets blamed for clogged arteries. But after what I just told you, what caused the damage? Was it the cholesterol that caused the damage, or was it the sugar?
Well, the sugar. Yeah.
So when we are lowering our total carbohydrates from 200 and 300 grams a day down to less than 20, less than 10, maybe 5 total grams a day, however, wherever you are on that dial, right? Then you have no glycation going on. There is no damage. If you have high cholesterol, it's just passing through. Now, what does cholesterol do for the body? Cholesterol makes your bile in the liver, and the bile emulsifies fat. Cholesterol is the precursor to all of your testosterone and your little bit of estrogen, and a woman's estrogen and progesterone, estrogens and progesterone. Cholesterol is, you know how, like, here's my headphone wire that's going to my ears. This has insulation around it, and inside there's 2 wires, and they have insulation around it, because if they touch each other, they short out. Well, our spine, our nervous system, all of our nerve endings have an insulation around them. It's called myelin.
Yeah.
And our myelin sheaths are made out of cholesterol. Our brain is made out of cholesterol and fat. So vitamin D, we have to have cholesterol as part of the formula to make vitamin D3, which is a hormone in our body. So without cholesterol, people get body aches and pains and problems. So I want my cholesterol high. I want my LDL cholesterol, which I'm not going to call it bad. I want it healthy. Mine is close to 300. And I'm okay with that because I have the knowledge that I have no sugar glycation going on in my body. It's doing all these wonderful things. But when you exercise, when you work out, when you get good sleep, your good cholesterol, or the HDL, that rises too. And the more HDL you have, of course, we know that is also very healthy. When you eat meat or any foods that have cholesterol, shrimp, lobster, the amount of cholesterol you're getting from the food is so minuscule compared to the amount your body is making. Every cell in your body makes cholesterol for a reason. It's doing it for a reason, and we never messed with it until our modern technology and everything, where we're now taking statins and we're trying to artificially lower it. You know, for hundreds of thousands of years, we just ate.
Yeah.
But we didn't have sugar. We didn't have a lot of sugar up until the 1880s. So, you know, to summarize all this, it's the sugar glycation that causes the damage, which makes the cholesterol make a plaque, or a plaque that causes a stroke. So I don't worry about cholesterol anymore like I used to. I worry about sugar. I worry about not eating carbs and sugar, and I'm not. And one more thing before I stop. There's another test I learned that I can get just for to feel good about myself. It's a CAC score. That's a coronary artery calcium score. I had to pay out of pocket. It was 120 American dollars. And it shows how much calcium is building up in your arteries currently. And if your score is 0, you're in amazing shape. You have no damage. You have no plaquing. And the older you get, sometimes you can have a higher score. And my score came back. I'm 59 years old right now. I got it last year when I was 58. My score was a 0. Peace of mind. It's like, whoa. All right. So now I look at my cholesterol, which was 290, 300, my LDL. Who cares? What's it doing for me? It's making my testosterone. It's making my bile. It's making my myelin sheaths. It's doing all the stuff it was supposed to do for me, but it's not making a plaque because I'm not eating carbs and sugar. So that's my understanding and basic knowledge of cholesterol, which I'm so tired of hearing everybody say, eat this Cheerios cereal. It lowers your cholesterol. You're eating sugar.
Do you believe that there's a possibility that the carnivore diet has some function of reversing plaque damage and things like that? Because obviously you said your calcium levels is at 0 now.
Yeah.
So, but obviously you've said in the past you've had a crap diet, you've had fat foods and fast food and all sorts, which means obviously you would have had a build up of plaque, right? So obviously from what you're saying,
I don't know if it was higher then. I never got the CAC score back then. I know my cholesterol was lower, and I was on a statin in my 30s because the doctor told me I had to be on one. And when I took lovastatin and simvastatin, I was 34. I was at the gym working out, right? And I felt like an old man.
Mm-hmm.
I had body aches and pains. And I did some research back in the 30s and realized it was the statin, and I took myself off of it. And I felt better. You don't want to lower your cholesterol. Now, I was still eating sugar at the time, though. So I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Some people say that their CAC score kind of halts. If you're at like a 20 or a 30, it doesn't go any higher. Usually you can't reverse that. But who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, that was the reason why I asked, because obviously they say it's irreversible. I've listened to I follow a couple of doctors and things like that from around the globe, and there was a lady speaking about two I think there's a form of bacteria, which was nattokinase and serrapeptide, which they reckon it's sort of it's a good bacteria that can attack the plaque inside our bodies, and sort of they've done trials and tests to show that can improve plaque buildup and things like that. So I've started using them.
All right.
You touched on them, aches and pains, and so at the beginning of the podcast you said that you suffer with lower back pain. Like I said before, I'm 6'6". I'm a heavy guy, and I've suffered with lower back pain for a long time, and I'm actually suffering with lower back pain right now, at this moment right now. So I don't know what it is. So about 6 weeks ago, I just felt tight one night going to bed. I suffer with knee pain because of old sport injuries and things like that, and I've suffered with pain in my fingers from weightlifting and things. So I suffer a lot with pain. On a daily basis, I have a lot of pain in my body. So yeah, I just went to bed one night and I thought I feel really sore. I woke up the next day and I couldn't move. Literally, I couldn't bend over. I was in absolute agony. And I picked some bags up from by the front door and I collapsed. I couldn't move. I was in the pain. I was like I'd just been shot. I'd literally like I'd been shot. I had to phone my girlfriend. My girlfriend's a nurse. I had to phone her up and say, look, you need to come and help me. I can't move. I was in absolute agony. And I think it goes with what you were just saying. I think a lot of it is down to the years of not looking after my body, a lot of injuries that I probably haven't recovered from properly. You know yourself, if you've played sport when you're in your late teens and you were early 20s, if you get injured, you think, I'll be okay, I'm Superman. And then as you know, I'm coming towards 40 now, and my body's like, yeah, you probably should have looked after yourself a little bit better when it comes to recovery and diet and things. So yeah, I'm hoping, with some advice from yourself today, if I can make some long-lasting impressions on my diet from now, hopefully I can take a lot of the pain away. So I guess what I'm asking is, what causes the pain and what does the carnivore do to eradicate that pain?
I think the cause of a lot of people's pain, my back pain, was inflammation. Inflammation is
Yeah.
the precursor to a lot of diseases. And what causes inflammation? It's normal for your body to have inflammation. It's the body's way of healing. You know, you
Yeah.
bang your
Yeah.
elbow, it's going to swell up on purpose.
Swell up.
It's going to, fluid's going to rush there. It's going to feel hot to the touch. That's your body inflaming so that it can heal itself. And I'm going to get to omega fats and talk about that. Have you heard of omega-6 and omega-3
So
fatty acids?
I take omega-6 and omega-3 through fish oils and krill oil tablets in the morning. Well, I should do it every day, but again, it's one of them that I've got that just sometimes it can sit in the cupboard.
Oh yeah.
But that was a question that I was going to ask. So a friend of mine said he takes, I think it's 5,000 milligram or microgram a day. I'm not sure which one he said.
Probably IUs, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so 5,000 or 6,000 IU a day maybe. And he said it's beneficial to his lifestyle and he's 10 years older than me and he's in fantastic shape. And he, gives a lot of credit to fish oils.
Omega-3 is amazing. So omega-6 is, we have to have it. We need to have alpha-linolenic acid that comes from meat and it comes from eggs and pork and poultry, but you only want a certain amount of it in ratio to omega-3s. Omega-3 is DHA and EPA. Now we have to have a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, or a 2-to-1, or a 3-to-1. This is 6, and this is omega-3. When we eat the standard world diet, it's 20-to-1 or 30-to-1. And when you have your omega-6 out of balance, that's what stimulates inappropriate inflammation. You're going to get inflammation where you're not supposed to have it. That's what caused my lower back pain. That's what causes a lot of people's body aches, and they don't realize it's their imbalance of fats. And when we eliminate the seed oils, so canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, cottonseed oil, rice bran, margarine, Crisco, all those oils are really high in omega-6, and it's linoleic acid, which is just not even supposed to be in the body. All right, that's why they call it machine lubricants. You lubricate your chainsaw with this stuff. You're not supposed to drink it or eat it, but we are. It's in all fast food and processed food. You pick up any processed food, you're going to see one of those oils in it, and we're eating it. And we're not knowing. So that causes all this inflammation. When we get rid of that, we pull it back down. All right. The omega-3s are the anti-inflammatory. They go and rush to the area to heal it. Okay. Then things calm down. Doesn't happen overnight, but it settles down and calms down. My lower back pain disappeared. A lot of other people that have what they thought was arthritis or this pain or that pain, when they changed their diet and they realized they were eating too many seed oils, it came back into the balance. They started feeling a lot better. So that's why I said earlier in this video, vegetable seed oils, we call them vegetable, they're just seed oils. It's more important to take those out completely than carbohydrates. Carbohydrates our body recognizes. We just don't want too much of it. But our body does not recognize these machine lubricants, and that causes all these problems, pain. And so I encourage you to, if you're going to make a change, just really, like when you go out, if you go out to restaurants, when I go out to restaurants, which is pretty rare nowadays, I like to cook at home more because I'm in control of everything. I tell them, please cook my steak in a pan, not on the grill, because they rub canola oil on it. They'll rub margarine on top of it. A lot of things in restaurants are cooked in seed oils. It's the standard cooking oil all around the world now because it's cheap. And so I control it. I refuse to put it in my body, and I've never felt better.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely give me the incentive to really, try and stick to it, even over the Christmas period. Now, it's going to be tough, but I'm going to get you back on here in 6 months' time, and we're going to see where we are.
All right.
And that probably brings me on to my next question. As somebody, even somebody like me who's got a really, really basic knowledge of what the carnivore diet is and what it does, obviously nothing compared to the levels of knowledge compared to somebody like you. If you could just throw me a basic diet of what a beginner's carnivore diet would look like for, say, I don't know, the first 4 weeks of somebody. And if you're going to implement fish oils and things like that, if you could go back and start all over again now with what you know now, what would your first, say, 1 week or 2 weeks of a carnivore diet look like with the necessary products that you might need to benefit you as well, like fish oil, say?
Yeah, let me talk about fish oils too.
Yeah,
Supplemental
yeah.
fish oils, yeah. You don't want as much, you don't want omega-6 as much. You're going to get plenty of omega-6 in the meat that you eat. It's always too high. You always want to pull that down by just don't take extra in a supplement. If you're
Okay.
going to take a fish oil, make sure that the omega-3 in that bottle is way super higher than any omega-6 that it shows, because that's what you want. Because you want to equal out, you want that 1-to-1, 2-to-1, or 3-to-1 in your body. And then what I do is, if I don't do it anymore, but when I used to take krill oil and fish oil, I would take one of them, stand over the sink with a scissor and cut it open and waste it and smell it. If it had any odor at all, it's not supposed to smell at all. It's not supposed to smell like fish. All right. Then it's okay. It's good and you can take it. A lot of people don't realize that their omega-3 fish oil has gone rancid, because omega-3s are very fragile. They're unsaturated. And with light, heat, and time, if you don't keep them in the refrigerator, or if the light gets on them or they're really old, you cut one open, it smells like fish. You don't want to take that. That's just like taking a seed oil. It's going to cause inflammation. So that's what I wanted to share about taking those. Whether you take them or not, it's up to you. Just make sure they're good. The ones you get in the mail or whatever, always put them in the refrigerator. Always cut one. When I used to do it, I would cut one open a week just to make sure that my bottle was still good. I threw a couple bottles out before because I'm like, oh man, ooh, I don't want to put that in my body. Not supposed to smell. All right, so a diet for somebody who is doing just carnivore, or somebody who's transitioning into carnivore the slow way. What do you want me to share?
So let's do both.
All right, so let's do the slow way. So you're eating the regular standard world diet and you want to start going into carnivore, and I advocate doing it gradually so you don't shock your body. So you do, like I said, you throw out all vegetable seed oils. First thing, number one, throw out all seed oils, don't ingest them, be conscious of them, and go to the grocery store. Pretty much the same in UK, I'm sure. Around the edges of the grocery stores where all your meat, your poultry, your dairy, your egg. Stay away from the center aisles where the boxes and packages are with the barcodes, and get one ingredient animal products. Get your ground beef, your mincemeat, get your steaks, get your chicken, get your lamb, duck if you like it, pheasant if you have it, deer, buffalo, veal. Then you can get eggs, any kind of eggs. I like pasture-raised eggs because they ate the bugs and the worms on the ground. They weren't fed grain, so the yolk is orange and not yellow. It's got more choline, has a higher omega-3, less omega-6. I eat a lot of small fish like anchovies, and I eat wild-caught salmon. So fill your cart with one ingredient animal products. And then if you're just starting, and you had vegetables, get some salad, get some lettuce, get some broccoli, some asparagus, some bell peppers. I would stay away from the spinach. Spinach is extremely high in oxalate. I know you love it, but we could go down that road. I'll tell you why. I won't even put a single spinach leaf in my mouth after what I went through.
Wow. Really?
It's too. There's so many other leafy vegetables you can eat that are much, 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 much lower in oxalates. Spinach is off the charts. high in oxalate.
Wow.
So, all right. So here's your plate. Let's say you're making a steak. You cook it on the grill or in your pan with lots of butter. Just fry that sucker up. When you first start eating carnivore, you don't realize how much fat you're supposed to eat because we've been taught that fat is bad. We've been fat folks.
Yeah.
Don't eat fat. Fat makes you fat, which is wrong. So you want a lot. You want 50-50, 50 fat, 50 protein if possible, or 60-40, 60 protein, 40 fat percent. You want more fat than you think you're supposed to have. So add it if it's not already on the steaks. In America, they cut off all the fat of the steaks. So we add more fat and have your vegetable on the side and just eat enough of it until you get the signal. It's called a leptin. The leptin signals get sent to your brain saying, this, I'm done. This doesn't taste so good anymore. I'm going to stop now. And that's it. You don't have to weigh it or measure it. You're a big guy. You're going to eat more than I'm going to eat. So you eat until your body tells you. You start learning how to listen to your body signals. Another meal, eggs. All right. I do 4 or 5 pasture-raised eggs. Sometimes I throw the egg whites out and I have more yolks. Yolks are healthier than the whites, opposite of what the world tells you. And
yeah, that's another thing. I've always been told the complete opposite. So when I'm really in weightlifting mode, I'll crack the eggs and I'll tip them sideways to make sure I can get. I'll have 1 or 2 yolks, but the rest of them, they go in the bin. So again, what you're telling me there is the complete opposite of what I've always thought.
The white has a lot of protein, so you're going to get a lot of protein, but it also has most of the allergens or things that some people have a problem with, is in the white. But the yolk has the choline, it has the omega-3, it has protein in there too. It's healthier. So for lunch today, I had on I'm the only way to share with you. I put a cast iron skillet. I cook in cast iron on an electric stove. I put like 2-3 tablespoons pasture raised butter and 4 or 5. I think I did 5 today. Pasture raised eggs. I like them over easy, so that I just flip them real quick and put them in that the yolk is running. I want the yolk to run over my ground beef or run into my leftover steak from the night before. All right. And then I use salt, use a lot of salt to taste, not too much, not too little, whatever your body says it wants, give it to your body. All right. Don't listen to what everybody says about salt. Just if your body says, I want it, you give it. If you salt something, it tastes too salty, your body says, I have enough of it. That's simple. And just eat a lot of that until you're full. For dinner tonight, we're going to have sausages. We're going to have bratwursts we got at our local store here. And they have really clean ingredients. What I do is I do yellow mustard, which is really clean, but it's not carnivore. But, I cheat a little bit. But yellow mustard, it's vinegar, and it's mustard seed, and it's turmeric. And I just, I dip the sausage. It's so freaking good. All right. And I just eat it slowly until my body tells me I'm done. And that's it for the night. I don't feel like snacking after that because I ate enough fat and protein and it satisfied me. A person who's just starting needs to just acclimate it to what they want and the amount that their body tells them they need, and not overthink it. We tend to want to, I have to put it on the scale. I have to have so many cups, and I have to measure and weigh and portion and throw all that out the window and just make your food yourself. Learn how to cook. A lot of people don't know how to cook. Learn how to cook.
I'm a good cook.
Good. Use a pan, use a grill, use that butter liberally, and enjoy it. It's a creative, artistic process too. When you're making, you get a lot of pleasure out of it because you make it, you eat it, you discover new ways of cooking too. You're like, I'm going to try this and see how this works. You're like, man, like I make a bone broth soup. I take all the leftover bones from different meat meals that we had, T-bone steaks, ribeyes that have all the bones, ribs, put them in a bag in the freezer. And then when the bag is full, I put them in a crock pot with water and a bunch of salt. And I cook it on high for 12 to 14 hours. I filter out all the bones and crap through a sieve, and I put in glass jars, and I let it sit in the refrigerator. All the fat rises to the top, and then you have this gelatin bone broth that is pure collagen. and you can use the fat or not use the fat, the tallow. And then in that, I make a soup. I put eggs, I put meat, I put salmon, I put salt, I put a ton of butter. That's the greatest soup I've ever tasted in my life. Better than my mother, better than any store. And that's one of my favorite meals is a nice, thick, rich soup with a bone broth base.
I've done it once. I've done it once with a bone broth where I went to the local butcher's, bought some steaks and chickens, and he had a couple of bones, frozen bones.
Good.
So I said I was thinking about making a bone broth, and he said, "Yeah, go home." From what you just said, I don't think I did it right. I boiled the bones, and just sort of scooped out all the the bits from inside the bone and things, and just used it as like a bit of like a dip, if you like. So I just mixed it into like a little bit of a dip. So I think I did it wrong from what
That's
you
good
just
too.
said.
I mean, I don't know what that was, but it sounds like you got a lot of the marrow, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's just what's so cool nowadays is you can just do a YouTube video, Google it, type in what you're looking for, and you'll see so many videos of somebody showing you how they do it, and then you can take your own way out of it and make it your own way. Like I don't do it the way a lot of people do it, but my way became what I do, and I got really good at doing it that way. And you kind of perfect it. You make a mistake, you don't do it the same way the next time. Do you know what a chaffle is? Sounds like a waffle.
No.
Sounds like, you know what a waffle is, right? Okay, well, a chaffle is you take a bowl and you break one egg and you take some shredded cheddar cheese or shredded mozzarella cheese and you mix it up so that it's kind of thick, and you coat a waffle iron with butter and you put like a tablespoon of that on there, and it comes out, it looks and has the same texture as a waffle, just like a waffle, like a piece. You can use it to make a hamburger if you want, or you can eat it like a waffle and break egg yolks on it. It's amazing. I saw that on a YouTube video. I'm like, oh, I got to try this. And now I do it all the time. Yeah, I do it all the time. You can add some salt and pepper and put onions, do what you want, add other things in there. But it's just basically egg and cheese, and it makes a waffle, a chaffle. So
I'm going to have to try that, definitely.
I'm always learning something new from other people. It never ends. And if I could encourage anybody who's listening, never stop learning, keep an open mind, a growth mindset, and just try stuff and see what works for you on your carnivore journey. I mean, there's some stuff I don't do that other people do.
You made a valid point there as well. It's about enjoying it as well. I think we've become that complacent when it comes to food, because everything's so easy now. You can get I'm guilty of this myself. Uber, you can get Uber deliveries, so you don't even have to leave your home anymore. It's so easy. If you feel the need of, I want a McDonald's or I want a Subway, you've just got to look at your phone, and 15 minutes later it's in your hand. It's so easy. And you made a good point there. I enjoy cooking. I love mixing things together and all different spices, and also I love it. I love cooking. I probably don't do it as enough as what I should. But like you said there, if you're learning and your body's reacting while you're doing something that you enjoy, we should do it more. And we're just so complacent in life when it comes to everything these days. We think the world owes us a favor, and we don't have to work, and we don't have to, grind or do anything, So yeah, I'm definitely going to take that on board. You mentioned salt. So I use a lot of pink Himalayan salt. The one thing that I've read, whether you might be able to tell me different, is that the more pink salt you use, the higher the mercury levels would be in your body. So the one thing that I'm going to transition to, I haven't yet, but I will, is Celtic salt, because for what I believe, some of the research that I've done, I think the body needs something like 102 or 103 minerals to function correctly, and Celtic salt has about 99 minerals or 100 minerals in it. So I'm going to transition to Celtic salt purely off that basis, really.
Yeah, that's a good idea. There's all different kinds of salts, and where the salt comes
Yeah,
from is what heavy metals might be in there. Some of them have lead, some of them have mercury. You want them to have magnesium and manganese and calcium, all
yeah,
the little in very, very microscopic amounts. So when you look at your salt, it shouldn't be just white like the stuff you buy in the store, the Umbrella Girl salt, Morton's. I don't know if you have that in the UK. It's just
yeah. Table
nasty.
salt. Yeah,
I've been using, and I like, so I'm sticking with it, Redmond real salt. Um, you can get online, or I don't know, we have them in the stores. And it's not white, it's got all the stuff in there. Some people think it's too high in lead. I don't know. I might switch. But I do notice that Redmond salt, even pink Himalayan salt, I've had Celtic salt, it makes your food taste better than standard salt, rock salt from,
massively,
yeah.
massively different. Yeah,
And I thought salt was salt until I realized,
me too.
what really good, and what gives salt that good flavor is the minerals. It's not all just salt, it has all the minerals. Now, one of the things I do supplement with, because our ground is deficient in iodine because of over farming. Same thing with magnesium. So when the cows are eating the grass, or if I'm not eating enough fish, which is where the fish eat the kelp, that's where the iodine is, then sometimes they will put iodine in the salt, iodized salt, so we don't get a goiter. So I have a little dropper bottle of Lugol's. You can get many different brands, and I put 3 drops in my eggs when I make my eggs, just to make sure I'm getting iodine for my thyroid. Because when you're eating the carnivore diet, and you're salting with non-iodized salt, some people are low on iodine because it's just not in the food they're eating. So I supplement with iodine drops, and I also take magnesium supplements because my
Yeah,
levels
me
were
too.
low. Yeah. And it also helps with I have AFib. I have paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, which is now in remission because of my diet. It's one of the great things that carnivore
Wow.
did for me.
What is that? I've never heard of
Um,
that before.
all right. So your heart, you've got the atrium, and you have the
Right.
bottom part. I forget what that's called. Of course, I can't think of it right now. And when the atrium goes out of beat with the bottom part, the blood can start to pool in the atrium. And then when it pools, it can start to coagulate, and that could cause a stroke. It's very dangerous. And the heart goes really fast and then goes really slow, and then it flutters. And so mine started about 10 years ago. The doctor noticed it. I was on all this medicine to pull it into rhythm and to stop the flutter. And then when I changed my diet, I realized all the medicine I was taking, the side effects are it raises your blood sugar. I'm like, geez, this is what I'm fighting against blood sugar. I'm like, so I slowly, very gradually weaned myself off of the medicine, and I stay into sinus rhythm. And I think it's because I take extra magnesium, which helps with your heart rhythm. And I also eat carnivore. It's very healthy for the heart. I think I'm healing whatever damage occurred in my atrium.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, magnesium, you can't hurt by supplementing. Most human beings are deficient in magnesium because it's just not in the soil anymore because of over
I
agriculture.
think it was. I think it was in one of your videos. I think I was watching one of your videos the other day. Was there 3 or 4 different types of magnesium? Did you do a video on that?
I might have. I did a couple. The magnesium doesn't work by itself. It has to be bound to like I think it's an amino acid or a protein. So you buy
Hmm.
magnesium glycinate. It's like glycinate.
Glycinate. That was it. Yeah.
Magnesium threonate, which I like. Glycinate relaxes you. It's great for sleeping. All right. Magnesium threonate, threonate. Magnesium
Mm.
threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it's really good for mental health. If we're talking about mental health in this episode, I take magnesium threonate. Maybe that's also why I'm feeling fantastic. Not just the carnivore diet, but I'm taking that kind of magnesium. There's magnesium citrate if you have a constipation problem, and that can
Okay.
help you loosen your bowels. Don't take it if you don't want. You got to be careful with the citrate because you'll go the other way. And
Mm.
there's other kinds too, but those are the 3 that I recommend for different reasons. And
I
like
seen.
any,
Sorry, yeah, I seen a product the other day, and I was considering buying it because it had all the magnesiums you just stated. But I wanted to
Oh,
speak
all
to you
right.
first. It was like a 5-in-1
Oh, wow.
magnesium product. So I'm going to have a look at that. Literally, when we finish here,
Good.
I'm going to look at that, and I'll probably get something like that because I believe magnesium's good for the bones as well and things like that. Right? Am I right in saying that?
It has to be in balance. It works with all of your other minerals
Yeah.
and your hormones. And you want to make, just like with food, if you become a food detective in the store, if you're buying anything that's not one ingredient, you're going to be reading those ingredients. Make sure there's no seed
Mm.
oil. Make sure there's same thing when you buy supplements. I have to wear reading glasses now, but I bring them to the store and I'm reading the bottles, and I put like 8 of the bottles back, and maybe there's one brand that doesn't have seed oil or starch in it. Or if I don't know what the long name is, I Google it on my phone while I'm standing there in the store. I just make sure I don't put crap in my body. So I try to find,
Mm.
and sometimes I have to buy the stuff online because they're just not in the stores. Like I get my
Yeah.
magnesium 3 and 8, I buy it online because they don't sell that in the store where I live.
Yeah, no, they don't sell it around there. So, supplement wise, you take a magnesiums and omega 3.
I
That's what
don't
you
take
take, right?
I don't take omega 3 anymore because I eat a
Right.
lot of cod liver in cod liver oil. I eat a lot of
Okay.
sardines and anchovies, and I like salmon, and I'll eat shrimp when I can. But if I
Yeah.
can't have access to the seafood, which is real high in the good omega 3s, then I'll go take a supplement. Yeah.
I think I prefer fish over meat. If I'm being honest, I just eat more meat than fish. Not really sure why, but yeah, I think I do think that I need to up. My girlfriend absolutely despises the smell of fish. She hates it. Um, but yeah, I think if I could up my levels of eating fish, I think that would be good for me.
There you go.
Um,
Good for you. Yeah, the small fish. Remember, large fish, um, any bigger than salmon, salmon's kind of like medium size. You don't want
mhm.
to go bigger because they have more mercury, more heavy metal toxins. The
All right,
smaller
okay.
fish. Yeah, there's an acronym to remember. It's SMASH, SMASH. Salmon, mackerel, anchovies, herring, and sardines are like the healthiest of all the fishes. There's no heavy metal toxins because they're not eating fish; they're eating the plants at the bottom of the ocean, and they're getting really good healthy amounts of copper, zinc, iodine, omega 3s off the charts when you eat the little fish.
So I
And if
think the ones that a lot of the frozen fish around there is, I mean, you can get everything, right? You can get any type of fish, but in the supermarkets, there's a lot of bass or cod or haddock. They're the three biggest
Cod's
white
good.
fishes, if you
Yeah.
like. So
Canned fish,
would you say would?
if you have access to canned fish, get it canned in
Yeah, yeah,
water.
yeah.
Don't get it canned in soybean oil or canola oil or even
So
olive oil because you don't know if their olive oil is any good or not. You know?
yeah, so the one we have a lot of tuna and salmon, and
Mhm.
I love tuna and salmon, but the one I buy is I think it's in sunflower oil. I think
No,
the
no,
tins.
that's a seed
No,
oil. Yeah, you don't want that.
yeah,
Yeah, you want it not in those oils. You want to get them in water. And if you want them in an oil, get them in water, dump the water out, and then put your own butter in there. Put your own melted, beef tallow in there if you want it oily. But yeah, they
I think a lot of the
accurately,
other ones they have. I think the other cans are in brine. I think
which
it's
is salt
tuna and
water.
brine.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Salt water
yeah.
is good. And stay away from albacore tuna. Get other tuna. Albacore is the big tuna, and that has a lot of mercury in it.
Okay.
You want regular tuna, not albacore. Like there's different tunas in the can. And yeah, seafood.
Mm.
Whew, I can't get enough of it either. I love it. It's good for you.
Yeah, I love it. Love fish
Yep.
and red meat. I think, to be honest, that's sort of you've explained everything that I wanted to know. I mean, is there anything else that you believe people who are listening should know about the carnivore or?
Yeah. Most people have an issue with constipation. Not at the beginning, it
Okay.
might be if they do it too fast at the beginning, it's diarrhea because their body's just not used to the changeover. But in the long term, if you're not getting enough fat, animal fat, you can get backed up because you don't have enough fat. And we're just so used to not including enough fat in our foods from all the years that we ate and all the messages we learned. So make sure you're eating lots of animal fat with your meat, with your fish. Don't eat anything without fat in it. You got to have, everything should have fat with it, and you'll have normal bowels. And then with that, if you had 1 or 2 bowel movements a day on the standard world diet, don't expect the same because you're not eating fiber anymore. And your body's absorbing almost everything you're eating. You're going to have a bowel movement maybe once a day, maybe once every 2 days. Sometimes I don't go, but once every 3 days, and it's normal.
Yeah,
And
that's.
I used to panic. I'm like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with me. As long as I don't feel cramps or pain and it's normal, that means my body's getting real efficient with what it's absorbing, and I have very little waste. So I want to share that with the listening audience too, not to worry about your frequency when you change over. You're going to have less waste.
I guess the last question, I've got it next to me, water. So last year, I thought, again, this is a process that I learned the hard way, I think. I was drinking probably 5 or 6 liters of water a day, every day last year. But what I didn't realize was the electrolyte aspect of it. I did know what electrolytes were, but again, I only used them around sort of gym motivation, if you like.
Right.
What I didn't realize was drinking too much water on its own is a bad thing. Or at least that's what I experienced, because towards the back end of last year, the amount of pain I was experiencing, because I genuinely believe that I'd flushed a lot of the good nutrients and, a lot of the goodness that I'd absorbed throughout the year, I'd flushed them out of my body. So I guess the question I'm asking here is, with a diet that is so energy driven, you're using a lot of this food as fuel, I guess you've got to be even more careful when it comes to hydration and keeping those electrolytes up. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Make sure your water, like my water right here, this isn't just water. I have a reverse osmosis filtration system under my kitchen sink, so I'm taking out the fluoride and the lead. And it goes to my kitchen sink too, so it makes the ice. And I add Redmond Relight. That's the name of the company. It's unsweetened, unflavored. It has magnesium, potassium, sodium, iodine. It's got all the little electrolytes. I put a little tiny scoop in my water bottle every time I fill this up. I drink several of these a day, and I don't measure how much I'm drinking. If I'm thirsty, my body's telling me drink. If I don't feel like it, I don't touch a lot. We're overthinking everything. When somebody says you have to have so many liters a day, just your body will tell you. Body signals will tell you. Sometimes I'm working out in the yard. It's hot here in Florida in July and August. I mean, humid, hot. And I come in, I drink a ton of water because my body was craving it, because I sweated out all the electrolytes, So my body was craving it. When you first go on carnivore or ketogenic diet, your electrolyte balance will go out of whack. You're going to start urinating out a lot of electrolytes, because when you don't eat carbs after your body's being used to carbs, it starts flushing it out. And for every molecule of water, there's a molecule of electrolytes that go out. So now beginners need to supplement more than seasoned low carb eaters. I don't supplement that much anymore. My body has leveled itself out over time. But beginning carnivores, that's what they call the keto flu a lot of the times. People that feel achy when they start switching over to low carb, that achiness, that withdrawal feeling, a lot of times is sugar withdrawal, but it's also electrolyte depletion because you're peeing out too much, too fast, which is another reason why I go back to what I said at the beginning. Do it slowly. Take out carbohydrates in the plants real slowly. Can I get on to the oxalate before we leave? So I can
of course.
stop eating spinach.
Well,
If you
that
like,
was gonna. I was literally just going to say, you know,
all right.
when you said there that you listen to your body. I've got a friend of mine. He's a strongman. He
Oh
does a
yeah.
lot of, or used to do a lot of strongman competitions,
Wow.
and he's never stuck to a diet or a training regimen or nothing. He's always said to me, "I do what my body tells me to do."
Yeah, he's smart. That's
So, and I
instinct.
mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Think of the
But
wild
yeah, that
animals.
was going to be my,
Yeah, the wild
yeah,
animals, they don't think. They don't say it's lunchtime, it's dinner time, it's breakfast, I have to have so much water. They don't measure or weigh
yeah.
anything. They don't know what a macronutrient. They just eat. They listen to their body, and we lost that.
Mm.
We have to go back to
I
learning
agree.
to our body. We get
Yeah.
confused with all the commercials and all the messages out there. So, all right, you know what oxalates are. You know how bad they are,
Mm-hmm.
and rhubarb and spinach are and like sweet potatoes are so high in oxalate that when you just
Wow,
have a
sweet
little.
potatoes as well.
And potatoes, yeah, they're pretty high. But
Wow.
spinach is up there. Your body, you're bigger. You're 6'6", and
Mm.
I don't know, 300 pounds, 280.
Yeah,
Right,
I'd say about that now. 270, 280 at the moment.
you're a big dude. Yeah, your
Mm.
body can probably handle maybe 150, 200 milligrams of oxalates a day, and your body actually makes a little bit. Your body makes about 30 or 40 milligrams as a metabolic endpoint. So if you're adding to that and you go above the 200 milligrams in your body, now you've got oxalate toxicity and your body eventually has to flush it out. It's called dumping. So when you have a couple of spinach leaves, you're at 500 milligrams. Okay,
Wow.
one third cup of spinach leaves is about 800 milligrams of oxalate. 800. It's like ridiculous. Whether you boil them or eat them raw. So I don't even, if you want like that leafy texture, you're used to having something that's like a spinach, get, another type of lettuce leaf or something that is way down. They have like 7 milligrams of oxalates in them. They don't have 800. It's a big difference. And I encourage you to not have it anymore because,
Yeah,
eventually it could harm you.
I've literally just had half a bowl of spinach before I came on here with you. So,
Yeah.
um,
I don't touch
yeah,
this.
I'll have to change that now.
Yeah. It's, and, other things have oxalates too, but that's up there. I used to do a lot of dark chocolate because it was low in carbs. So I'd kind of make my
Yeah.
own. And I didn't know
Mm.
I was giving myself all these oxalates. Once you get a kidney stone or have a problem, you learn real fast. It's like when you get drunk for the first time and throw up. You're like, oh, I don't want to touch alcohol again for a while. I don't want to eat any oxalates because you go through all that pain.
I take it alcohol's out of the question then for you at the moment, is it?
All right,
With the
alcohol.
sugar?
Let's talk alcohol.
Yeah, let's actually, yeah.
Vodka, gin, the real clean, refined, clear alcohols have no carbohydrates. So, and there's no seed oils, obviously. So if you drink some of those without sugary mixers, it's okay carbohydrate wise. All right. Beer is liquid bread. So
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
that's a no-brainer. Don't even touch it. But if you want to drink alcohol, it's the clear liquors, the vodkas, the gins, the white rums. There's a couple of others. Your liver, you know this, I'm sure,
Mm.
sees the alcohol as a toxin. It doesn't see it as a nutrient. So it has to convert it to acetaldehyde, and it has to get it out of the body, mostly through the breath, right? And you pee it out and sweat it out. And your liver performs 200 simultaneous jobs. It's the most amazing organ in the whole body. But when you drink a lot of alcohol, your body prioritizes that and it slows down all the other functions. It has to take care of that or you'll die. People will die if they drink too much. So that's
Yeah.
why alcohol is bad. Can you drink? Yes. Do I drink? I never liked it. So it's easy for me to abstain 100% because I don't care. But I have a very good friend that just is also doing carnivore, loves alcohol. And that's his weak point. Got to have a drink.
Mm.
So he has the clear liquors. And Sometimes he struggles with having too much because he likes it too much. We feel good when we're a little slowed down.
Yeah.
But it's just,
Yeah.
know what it does to the body and how the liver has to process it. It processes it the same way it processes fructose. That's why we don't need to eat fructose, because your body sees it like a toxin, like alcohol. People get fatty liver, not just from alcohol, but from too much fructose, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So that's my thoughts on alcohol and fructose.
I'm a spiced rum guy. I love spiced rum.
All right. Mojito? You like mojitos?
Yeah, I think my problem in the past has been I'll drink whatever's in front of me.
Right.
I was never,
so you can probably handle a lot.
Well, I could drink like a litre bottle of rum is no problem for me.
Whoa.
Well, I've drunk twice now in the last since end of August. I think I've only drunk twice. So I'm doing well, especially for me I've had problems in the past, like I said, with alcohol and substance abuse and stuff. So I'm doing really well, and I felt as though I really needed this conversation with you just to give me that little bit of a bit more of a direction, shall we say, as to what and how I need to do, what I need to do. Sorry. I guess one of the biggest things I'm going to take from this is, just keep it simple for now. Don't try and, change everything in a couple of days. Start slow and work my way into it, which I've never done before. I've always woke up and gone, right, today I'm doing the carnivore diet, and then I might get a couple of days in and, I'm filling my face with chocolate and ice cream and all sorts of things.
Easy to do that way. Just take it real slow. You want to get into ketosis, which I think you know what that is. It's when your body switches.
I know what. It's a state of ketosis.
If you're having, you're having that oatmeal, or you're having some carbs, and it's just puts you over the top. Your body's going to see both fatty acids and glucose, and it's going to go for the glucose because it's higher. It's called the Randall cycle. It's just going to go that way. So when you lower those carbs down low enough for a long enough time, your body's going to switch over and you're going to feel great. It's the ketones that are giving you that emotional health. The brain loves ketones. The heart loves ketones over glucose. If it has a choice, it prefers the ketones. There's the scientific studies out there that show that it chooses it. There's a choice the body takes. And the ketones are a real steady, healthy fuel. Cancer can't eat ketones. What does cancer eat? It devours glucose.
Sugar.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that too. We could go down that road in the future. It's just there's so many benefits to eating what I call the proper human diet, which is just animal products cooked in animal fats. That's simple. Drink water and get good sleep. Absolutely exercise, lift heavy things, and just find where your body feels the best in that realm. And little by little, any bad habit you have, just replace it with something else. All I do now is water with electrolytes. But I didn't used to do that. I used to do iced tea. I used to do all these other things. I slowly replaced it. And so anything bad, you can slowly replace it. And then you'll look back, months from now, and you'll say, oh, I used to eat those things. I used to drink those things. And I don't do that anymore because I did it real gradually, real slowly. It became part of my new life. I am totally not the person I was 6 years ago. And I'm not going back. There's no way. Once you ring that bell, you can't unring it. One more thing about your mental health. I talked in one of my videos about 4 chemicals we can give our brain. If we self-soothe or self-medicated with drugs to escape things, we can give ourselves dopamine. We can give ourselves more serotonin, more oxytocin, and more endorphins by doing certain things in our life. And I'm telling you, you'll be happier than you've ever been. And then you take that sugar out. When I started adding more dairy, I was doing this stuff called kefir, which is like a yogurt, and I
Yeah,
added.
but I've actually got some in the fridge
Oh,
now.
it's so good. I'm a dairy fanatic. I get too much though. See, I have a problem with it. And dairy has glucose in it, right? So I was doing too much. My carb count probably went way up and I didn't realize it. Do you know, for about a week, I was getting moody. I was getting down.
Well,
And I noticed it and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I've been great for 6 years. All of a sudden, I'm depressed. I'm like, what did I change?
well,
Oh my God, I increased all that dairy. I had too much glucose coming in the form of dairy sugar. As soon as I took it out, my mood went back up. That's how my body works. So sometimes we have to test ourselves. All right.
yeah.
We're doing great. And then we're like, oh, let me go back and try some of that other stuff again and see how I feel. And we have to prove to ourselves that carnivore is good for us. Some people test themselves. And that's kind of how I did it.
I've got one last question for you. Do you know, obviously, you go to the gym, you lift weights.
Yeah.
Obviously, we like to, a very old school way of thinking is before the gym, we sort of have to raise our carbohydrate levels to give us sufficient energy for being in a gym and weightlifting and things. Knowing what you know about the carnivore, would you say being on the carnivore diet gives you that sort of sustainable energy throughout the day when you're lifting weights, for instance? When you come out of the gym, how would you then sort of replace those glycogen levels? Would it be with something like a kefir milk, or something as simple as that? I guess a small dairy product.
Well, when you're in ketosis, your body's using the ketones for your energy and not using the glucose. And that's my energy
Right.
when I'm lifting weights. And it's a steady energy. It's not
Okay.
this spike. You're going to feel a bigger spike on carbs. And when you
Yeah.
lift weights in your muscle may get bigger in volume, but the muscle's not
Yeah.
bigger. You're just got a lot of water in there because carbs retain the water, right?
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah, after the gym 6 years ago, I used to do the protein powders and all the other stuff because I thought
Yeah.
I had to, but I just eat a steak and eat eggs, right? And I always
Right.
work out fasted, and
Really.
I'm sure I've used up any glycogen that was in there, and I'm on ketones. I don't see the need for carbs or replacing. I don't replace carbs. And I think
Yeah.
you know this too about the liver. Your liver, one of those 200 jobs is it does gluconeogenesis. It makes glucose
Hmm.
for you. And you're 6'6", so your body's making. I don't have. Now, of course, I don't have diabetes, so I don't have to worry about all my levels. My body's taking care of myself as long as I eat right. So, gym wise, you don't need carbs. There'll be a lot of bodybuilders that'll argue with you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they didn't go on a carnivore diet and see how healthy it is. If they did, they would be a leaner, muscular person instead of a
Well,
puffier, muscular
I'm
person.
not sure if you've heard of it. I'm not sure. I'd have to Google it. I think it was Mike Mensa in the 70s or the 70s, late 70s. He did his diet. I think for breakfast, he'd have like 2 steaks and 12 eggs.
There you go.
That was his breakfast.
Yeah.
And people say, and I've read his book. I'm sure it was Mike Mensa. I could be wrong though. But he basically lived a carnivore lifestyle, and the guy was absolutely huge. Obviously, he was taking some performance enhancing drugs with that, but he didn't eat carbohydrates, he didn't eat rice, he didn't eat bread, he literally, I think that the title of in one of the books is "People Say You Can't Get Big Without Carbohydrates and this and that. Look at me." And there's a picture of him stood on the edge of a cliff, and he's absolutely ginormous. I
Yeah.
mean, huge.
Because his testosterone went way up because when you're eating a
Yeah,
carnivore diet, your testosterone, guys, shoots up almost like you're taking external exogenous, test.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, some older gentlemen in their 70s and 80s, they change over to carnivore and they have the testosterone levels of a 20-year-old. There's so many
Wow.
Yeah, it's true. It's anybody who's low, you're gonna raise your testosterone. It's so healthy.
I've suffered with low testosterone because I've taken and performance and I've took steroids before, and I've also had stages of depression and anxiety, which also lowers levels of testosterone. So I did a blood test last year or 2 years ago, and it was really, really low, like
Wow. Yeah.
really, really low.
That also makes you depressed. Your mood is too
Yeah,
low.
exactly. Yeah,
When we eat
yeah.
carnivore, all of our 77 hormones go into balance. All right. And when you're not eating a lot of the plants, which are phytoestrogens, they mimic estrogen, that throws off our testosterone. And a lot of people don't know that.
Sorry,
That's
say
another.
that again. The plants mimic
All right.
estrogen.
So certain plants, you know how we have oxalates, phytates,
Yeah, yeah.
lectins. These are anti-nutrients in plants, different ones in different plants. Many plants have phyto, which means mimicking estrogens.
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh,
body
I didn't know
sees
that.
the molecule is very similar to estrogens, and so the body sees that they get uptake, and then the body sees too much estrogens. You put on fat, you can't grow your muscle as much, and men, we're not supposed to have that much estrogens. We're supposed to have lower amounts, and heating things up in plastic, phytoestrogens. There's a lot of
Wow.
little things you can do to make sure you're not taking in these phytoestrogens. We never had them years ago, and now in our modern day, they're all over the place. We're eating a lot of microplastics that we don't even know about because they're just in the environment.
Yeah, yeah,
So plants
yeah.
are part, and some plants they have that in there. And there's so many reasons why I won't eat plants anymore. And that's another one. I want to keep my testosterone nice and high and not be interrupted by something that looks like an estrogen.
Well, you've certainly sold it for me in this last hour and 45 minutes.
I hope I helped. I'm not a doctor.
No, but
Nothing I said
this
is
is a
medical advice, but it's just stuff I learned along the way. That's why I make my videos. I'm like, I had these aha moments by learning from other people, and so I make a video. And the stuff I said today comes from all of that. That's all.
the one thing I've learned over the last couple of years is sometimes doctors they're not always right anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, mate, and hopefully I can stay in touch with you, and I'll get you back on in over the next couple of months, sort of April, May time, and we can talk about hopefully my success story when it comes to the carnivore diet.
Yeah, I'd like to. Absolutely. I will come back on and we'll see how you're doing, and we could do another stream, talk about more stuff that we didn't get to here. And
Yeah,
it's all
I mean,
about learning, man. Learning and applying new things.
And that's what I'm doing. That's the whole point of what I'm doing here now. It's based around mental health, and I'll give you a little bit of an insight as to why. Where I live in the North Wales, it's got one of the highest trauma rates of male suicide in Britain.
Wow.
There's a lot of people taking their own lives over the last couple of years.
Wow.
So, like I say, I'm not an expert on anything. I know very little about a lot of things. But, if one person hears what I'm doing and it helps them in any way, shape or form, I can, grow old and know that I've made a difference of some sort in somebody's life. So, and as well, I'm learning as I'm going, I'll take a lot from this conversation that I've had with you. I spoke with a guy from Boston last night. I've got a guy from Middlesbrough tomorrow. I'm speaking to a guy from Oklahoma on Thursday. So yeah, it's I appreciate people taking time out of their own lives to come and speak to me. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you having me on and letting me go on and on and on because I like to talk about this. My diet has changed my life so much for the better in so many ways. I mean, that's why I make my YouTube channel. It's the only reason. And like you, I want to reach other people, because other people made videos and I got some aha moments and I changed my life. So if I could change one person's, that would be, who knows who's going to be listening to this and take something away and apply it to their life and have this amazing, healthy benefit, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Well, like we said, we can stay in touch, and
Sure.
we can think if you've got all the other topics that you want to speak about, I'd be more than happy to sit and listen to you for a couple of hours, no problem. So yeah, we'll call it a day there, I think, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was great getting to know you, and
you
it
too.
looks dark over there. You gotta see. I've got my sunlight over here. I know it's nighttime over there, but you're also further north, so you're getting less sunlight, less vitamin D.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah,
dark.
really
I think
early.
it goes dark about 6 o'clock now, just before 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
We don't get much sunlight over here anyway. It's usually just clouds and rain and wind. That's most what we get.
That can affect your mood too,
So. I think last year was probably one of the longest winters I think winter started in August and probably finished in from April or something like that. It was a depressing, 6-7 months, rain, dark, wind, cold, and but
come back to Florida, come visit us. We're the Sunshine State.
I wish I could.
It's beautiful down here.
I wish I could.
I moved further south just to be in it.
Yeah, nice.
Part of my mood too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Cool. I'll end it there then, and we're all done.
Okay.
Thank you very much. See you again.
All right. Take care.